Hello, and welcome to Connecting Tucson with Jaime Overturf, located on the Tucson Business Channel, a division of Mark Bishop Media, broadcasting from our studio in Stewart Title corporate offices on Broadway in Tucson, Arizona. Connecting Tucson is all about connecting our community, local businesses, and organizations to help our community grow and thrive. Today, we're talking to Derrick Espadas, owner of Supporting Strategy. Derrick was raised in Rosemead, California. We're not going to hold that against him. Here we're in Arizona, where he learned the entrepreneurial lifestyle from his parents. Though his life was an exploration, he formed two companies to help pay for his education through college and has received degrees from both Pima County Community College Accounting and the University of Arizona Accounting and Business Management, Indiana University Accounting, and Syracuse University. He is a very collegiate person. So I'm just going to jump right in, and I want to say thank you for joining us today on our Connecting Tucson. And let's start off by letting our listeners know a little bit about you. Tell us about yourself, Derrick.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
As you mentioned, I've been to many schools.
Yes.
And through that time, actually had a couple of companies cleaning.
Really?
So I used to do commercial cleaning, and I loved it because you know when something's clean and when it's not.
Yes, you do.
So it was pretty simple. I also used to do music production, so like bands and clubs.
Really?
And that was a really great experience when I was 20. Kind of outgrew it and had to find other things to do. So that's
do you
how
play any instruments?
I am a singer.
Really?
Yes. And I play because I believe anyone can play guitar with enough effect pedals. So if you line up 20 effect pedals, I am amazing. And I trick people. I have really excellent guitar players tell me how amazing I am, but I'm not doing anything. The pedals do it all. It's awesome.
See, my husband is the exact opposite. He doesn't have any pedals, and he has about 20 guitars, and he just plays acoustic and electric. I don't know I know the difference between acoustic and electric, but like the difference between the guitars, I don't get. But he is a guitar player, and he loves it. He plays guitar and piano, so I am very affectionate when it comes to other musicians. So, yes. So you were in bands and clubs, and you said you supported yourself through college with a couple of businesses that you actually started. You didn't actually go in, do that. You actually started these businesses?
Yeah, I actually started them, and it wasn't until recently that I realized that I was an entrepreneur. Because, I think when we're taught what an entrepreneur is, we think of Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos. And I was just someone trying to pay bills. And so I was cleaning things at night, or I was setting up gigs for bands. And, and occasionally I had an employee or two that I was paying, but for me it didn't register because I was, small, and I was doing well and doing a little bit more than getting by and paying for my tuition. But for me, it was never in my head that I was an entrepreneur until people started telling me, and people came to me asking for help. And so I started believing it myself. And now when I think about it too, I have great respect for like street vendors. Someone who just
Absolutely.
I need to make some money. I'm going to sell hot dogs. Like, to me, that's an entrepreneur. Instead of just waiting around for, we think the tech giants and I'm going to create this amazing app. Oh, the person out there just hustling and providing a product, I think that's just amazing. And
exactly, you can be some small with no employees up to 500 employees. You're still an entrepreneur if you're bringing something to the table that's not with another company and doing that, and you're doing that. So obviously, hard work is nothing new to you. You've started the family business at a young age. You were working with your family probably through high school, I assume.
I started working for the family business when I was 5.
Oh my goodness!
So it was scrubbing floors. So we made kitchens in restaurants. Oh. And so just a lot of the welding and the grinding makes tons of dust. So I swept. At the time, you had to slam pieces into the wall to get them to put together. So that was my job.
Slamming I'm sorry, what do you mean slamming
so
pieces? So
if you think of a sink and the leg on the sink, they used to be that now they have it so easy. You can buy them with the feet in them. Before, you have to buy them separately and pop them in. So I used to do that.
Oh my goodness.
Learned to do the payroll, the bookkeeping. I just learned to be around a business. And then even in high school, my father finally opened up his own restaurants. And so I've learned when you have a family business, it's nice because you have a flexible schedule. Mm-hmm. But when you get told to show up, you must because it's daddy and you can't get away from him. And so I ended up being a manager for one of the restaurants.
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
So, and again, at the same time, like it was not running a business. It's just what you did. Like you just showed up and...
It's a family business,
Yeah.
though. And that's the thing. So let me ask you this. Do you think that those businesses that you started up during college and starting off at such a young age going into the family business, do you think this helped you with your current business? And if so, how?
I think it does. It definitely helps because I'm more aware of what people are going through. So I know when people think of bookkeeping, not the super awesome topic everybody wants to go to.
Just like insurance.
Like insurance, right? But I think of it differently because it's really intimate. And you'll get this because insurance is the same thing. You're dealing with really intimate aspects of people's lives. Mm-hmm. And for a business, it's the same thing. You have to, I see all your financials. Mm-hmm. I know what's going on. I know when you're having a bad year and how hard that is to go through. So I see when I do bookkeeping, I keep that in mind because when I was growing up in the family business, not every year was a great year. So I remember going through that, or especially at the beginning, like when my father first started his business, like there was no Christmas. Mm. You know, they always went out of their way to try to find some way. But there was also, hey, we're not going to Disneyland this year. We're not doing this. And so I get that. And the pride that comes along with saying, hey, you know, especially having to tell a family, like, we need to wait till next year. And learning that, you know, especially with small businesses, it's so connected to a family. So when I'm looking at someone's books, there's people behind those numbers. Mm-hmm. So I find it as a duty, an obligation that I'm not just doing numbers. It's so easy to just say, I want to be in a cubicle and do numbers and never have anything to do with people. There's people behind those numbers. And so I'm basically kind of working around with your family and your dreams. And so it's a very intimate, you know, experience.
Right. Exactly. And like you said, you're involved in their financials, which can be very scary, especially for a small business owner. Like, what are you going to think about me if I'm like in the red type deal? You get that stigma a lot. Yeah. So I completely understand. How did, like, you went from restaurants and all of this other stuff and cleaning to accounting. How did that progression occur? How did you get into accounting?
So I was at Pima Community College for 10 years.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Hey, you got a lot of studies in.
But a lot of it was taking a class, dropping out. Like I had some growing up to do. And at some point, it just hit me. I had to do something. And really it was I had to do anything to kind of just grow up. And so I went to the first class in the catalog, and it was accounting. And I wanted nothing to do with anything number-oriented. And then I started doing it. And I actually hear this from students that are at Eller, because I go back and I help out there still, that there comes this moment where you're good at it. And it just feels great. You're anything anyone may have said to you in your life that you can't do this, no, I can do accounting and you can't.
Yes.
And it's empowering, and I just kept going with it. And I started realizing that even amongst like business students and people that were actually in business, I knew a little bit more because the details are in the books. And so I could see things. And that's kind of my superpower. When I look at numbers, I can see the story behind it. And so I can help you with that story. And I love that. So it wasn't completely just jumping into numbers, because I think I would have kind of just disappeared on that. That wouldn't have interested me. I started seeing the storytelling behind the numbers. And that's what really, you know, I find intriguing. And I love looking at financials.
Well, excellent, because as a financial advisor, so do I. I'm a numbers-driven girl, so you and I have a lot in common. So I know you started in accounting in that backstory there, but why become a part of supporting strategies?
I had tried doing my own bookkeeping service on my own. So Supporting Strategies is a nationwide organization. I bought into a franchise. And what they offered was support. So whenever I have a question, whenever I just need someone to, even a little pick me up, someone's available, I can call, and they're just like, no, we're talking to everyone across the country. They're going through the same problems. Or this law is coming. We're preparing. And so it's just having that safety net and really structure. There's a lot of programs we use. A lot of times we just think, hey, you can just jump into QuickBooks and it's okay. No, we can, right? I make that face.
Sorry, I made a cringe face. You guys couldn't see it.
I get that cringe. But, sending out 1099s, doing billing, payroll. So there's a bunch of different programs to use, and going through supporting strategies, I didn't have to look up and research all those. They were already found.
Oh, that's nice.
And the thing that really made me join supporting strategies was they had the same vision that I had. It isn't just, hey, we're going to do books and we're going to make money and trample on people. And it's about doing the right thing. It's about helping businesses grow. It's about getting out in the community and making a stronger community. And if we do those things, we'll all be financially well off. And that was just something I bought into and really appreciated about them, because that's a value I hold, that it's not just about making money. It's about how can I do financially well, but also help somebody else do financially well, and then help the community be a better place.
I love it. I love it. So obviously you do accounting better than I do, and I don't do QuickBooks, but tell us some of the services that supporting strategies and you actually offer your clients.
So, the basic one is bookkeeping.
Right.
We can come in and we can keep track of your monthlies. We're really looking towards those that are ready to make that leap. So many new business owners, they're on their own, keep their own books. Now they're hiring employees, so now there's payroll to do, 1099s for contractors, and they didn't get into business to do accounting or bookkeeping. They, a baker starts up a bakery to bake bread. That's what they're awesome at. I'm not, so I go buy their bread.
Exactly.
Let me do your books so we can grow you. And like I mentioned, I can see that story. What do you need to do to grow? We also do what we call controller services, and that's going to be for larger companies. Controller service is basically, instead of when you get to that point and you need to expand, let's say you have 4 or 5 accountants on staff, well, now you need to hire someone to manage that staff. We can do that. We can just go ahead and take that over so that you don't need to worry about managing an accounting department. We're accountants. You're that baker. You bake. We can do the accounting, and we have the resources that, being part of a nationwide network, if I'm short-staffed on some big project you have, I can contact, say, Florida and say, hey, do you have anyone looking for extra hours? Awesome. You do? Let me send you this work. Or even, hey, Florida, you're really good at this particular industry. I'm going to send this work over to you because you've been doing, let's say, medical billing for 20 years. I'm not going to start off with this client and having my people do it because we don't have any medical billing experience. I'm just going to ask your people to do this because they've been doing it forever. So being able to reach out and supporting strategies and its network and find the expertise so that we can do what's appropriate for a client rather than just
try to wing it.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. Like if there's something I don't know, I'm not going to sit there and try to wing it. I want to make sure if I don't know how to do this properly, let me get somebody else. So I can appreciate that more than most, I think, in my line of business. So you do a lot more than just bookkeeping, obviously, because you can manage, you can do anything, but there might be some customers out there that are like, bookkeeping? What do you mean I need to do bookkeeping? Can you explain about the bookkeeping process?
So the bookkeeping process is pretty simple, at least for me.
You've been doing it.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's simple for you. You can say it.
Debits and credits, keep everything balanced. I always say the great thing about accounting is that everything balances. The horrible thing about accounting is that everything is supposed to balance, and it doesn't always do that. So just going into that process, there's a bunch of rules. And to be honest, any bookkeeper can find the rules, and we all do the same thing. What I think we do differently is we're not looking for clients. We're looking for relationships. So if someone is interested in contacting us, we're not going to just tell you it's package A, B, and C. We're going to sit down with you. We're going to learn about you. We're going to find out what's good for you. If package B works for you, awesome. But you might need something else, or you might not need something. We're really interested in how do we get you to grow? And so I think of it as I can only be successful if you're successful. So if I try to cram you into a package and it doesn't fit, you're not going to be successful. Now, and as far as the debits and credits, I know it. QuickBooks knows it. It's pretty simple for me.
It's okay. You mentioned QuickBooks. So is that something that if someone says, I already do QuickBooks, is that something they can give you access to as I don't do QuickBooks, but like as an accountant or something that they can go in and help you resolve? How do you what's that process look like?
So we can actually just get an email and log right into your QuickBooks. So we actually do a lot of QuickBooks work. Okay. It's kind of the platform we use. It's great. Like Intuit is amazing. Every year there's actually a little difficulty because they do so many updates, but the updates make it that it works.
Oh, that's good.
So I'm not using a platform that, hey, there's this new law, but now it doesn't apply. Like the QuickBooks platform is amazing. If there's something that doesn't fit within that, we just, go back to good old pencil and paper or whatever platform works.
Okay. Because the smaller businesses might not need QuickBooks. They might need just something for you or...
I definitely suggest the QuickBooks, though. It's just a good platform. Okay. We tend to use a different one for payroll tax just because it does, or payroll, just because it does work better. And so, again, kind of to that whole why be part of a network? And it's, there's people at the main office that are constantly testing out these programs. What works better? Mm-hmm. Again, going out into the network and asking, does everyone like this? No, we don't. Okay, we changed this. I know one of the things that they just started is now we have Zoom for phone.
Yes.
And that's completely new. I do admit I forget to turn it on in the morning.
It's all good.
I need to get used to that. But it's as someone who lives on their laptop, it's great to have a telephone right in front of me because my cell phone gets lost in couch cushions. And since I'm working at home, I don't go looking for it.
Exactly. So here's the thing. Let's just say I'm a small business owner and I do QuickBooks and I do my own. Why would I want to come to you and pay you to do the service that I could potentially do?
And that's a great question because there might be a chance that you shouldn't.
Oh.
So we're not always a great fit and we're always going to tell you if it's not. So if you're just starting out, you're just trying to test the waters. Can you sell whatever product you have? And let's just say you're maybe doing like $10,000 in the year. You can probably do that on your own. If you're been doing that for a couple of years now revenue's gotten up to 100,000 and you need to hire someone to keep track of those books. Now we're a good option for that because you can do what you do. We're also a good option, and this is something that's happening, especially with tax season. We don't do your taxes, but we do what's called a cleanup because your tax person just wants to enter in your information. Well, you haven't done your books because you just haven't for various reasons. And maybe 4 years you haven't done your taxes. And so now you're getting letters. So you need someone to go in and straighten things out. I actually love doing cleanups because it's that whole putting the story together, finding out what's going. I have clients that I do that for. As I'm doing the cleanup, I'm noticing things. So I'm seeing that story. Well, how come you're paying that much for, that item? Well, no one ever said anything. And I'll even look and it'll be, well, you've had professionals do this and they haven't said anything. No, you don't need to spend that money. And we'll talk. So I get
Love it.
into the interests of whoever I'm doing work for to make sure that they're going to be okay. Like if you can save $20,000 and if you're Amazon, not a big deal. And I've worked for companies where I've done $20,000 in write-offs and still don't feel okay about it because that's just a large number for me. But if you're small, $20,000
is a huge amount.
Huge amount.
Huge amount. So you don't actually just have to do it on a monthly basis. If someone can hire to say, hey, listen, I need someone to help me clean this up. You can do that too. It doesn't have to be on a monthly basis. And do you do monthly or quarterly? How do you do those services for bookkeeping?
Generally monthly.
Okay.
In the example of the cleanup, what we do suggest, though, is since you got in the mess in the first place, you probably want someone to keep you clean so you don't have to do that.
Yes.
Every year. But yeah, usually we do have monthly charges.
Okay.
We'll set it up once we decide what package and what customizations are best for you. And then we'll just do a monthly charge is usually how we work.
Perfect. Now, you did mention that you don't do taxes. And that actually leads me to the next question that I have. What is the difference between a bookkeeper, an accountant, and a CPA?
So a bookkeeper, it depends who you're going to ask.
Okay.
So now a CPA is state certified. There's this huge, ugly exam you have to take. And I appreciate everyone who is a CPA because you literally have to give up almost like 2 years of your life to study for it.
Ew.
Yeah. And more power to them. And so an accountant, so I'm an accountant, have degrees in accounting. I do accounting. And the big difference is in certain states, and I think it's Texas, that you can only call yourself an accountant or an accountant if you are a CPA. Ooh. So it's just a little linguistic difference. And then a bookkeeper is essentially an accountant. Now, if you ask people like in academia, generally when they say bookkeeper, they kind of do it despairingly. You're a bookkeeper. Because a lot of bookkeepers just learn. And so it's kind of
they don't have the degrees behind it like you do.
Yeah. And so, but, I've met a lot of great bookkeepers that have never had the academic experience. And I've worked with even CPAs where I've not felt comfortable with some of the work they've done. So it's I would just say overall, it's just a linguistic difference. But no matter what, just get to know who you're working with. Don't just say someone's a CPA, they must know everything. Just always have a conversation and see what you feel most comfortable with and see who really is going to have your interests in mind.
Absolutely. And I 100% agree. The relationship there, you have to feel comfortable with who you're doing business with. Because if you don't, and you're just relying on their degree or their certifications, aka my scenario, because I have 18 of them. But just because I might know something or I've tested on it, doesn't mean I know it 100%. Same as the person next door. So I actually never really knew the differences. And thank you for enlightening us on the differences. So if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Connecting Tucson with Jaime Overturf, where we focus on connecting our community, our local businesses and organizations to help our community grow and thrive. As your local insurance professional for all of your insurance needs, I know how important it is to make new and lasting connections and relationships in our community. You never know how a connection is going to create that spark or pull you in a unique direction. If you are a small business owner or involved in a community project and you would like to be featured on the show, please feel free to give me a call. All of my information is on the Tucson Business Channel, a division of the Mark Bishop Media. Just click on Connecting Tucson with Jaime. I would love to hear from you. Right now, we're talking with Derick, the owner of Supporting Strategies right here in Tucson, Arizona. He is a franchise, but he is locally owned and operated. And as I had mentioned before, I was very unaware between a bookkeeper, an accountant, and a CPA. I'm pretty sure there's going to be other misconceptions about your business. What other misconceptions do you have? That you get? I'm sorry. I
think a lot of it is kind of like what you mentioned, too. I can do my books on my own. Mm-hmm. And like I mentioned as well, when you start off, you can. If you don't have a lot of things going on, it's pretty simple. But when you start getting bigger and still retaining that mindset of, I can do this, I don't need someone else. And, you just might not. But then you start having to weigh your time. Do you want to be sitting in front of a computer doing your books, or you want to go spend time with the kids? And
kids. Sorry. Go ahead.
Depends on the kids, right?
Yeah, it kind of does.
And the day. But yeah, just looking at where your priorities are. I think of it just even in my own life, working on some plumbing. And I can work on the plumbing myself, and I may be able to do it. It might take a couple of weekends. I might have to go 2 weeks without being able to use my shower. Or I can hire someone who knows what they're doing. They come over, take care of it in an hour, and I can go on and live a happy life. And so it's just looking at those items of like, where are your values? Where are your priorities? What's most important to you? Because I think, I was even told in school, the reason we earn money is so we can spend it. And so, I know, kind of weird to hear from accountants, right?
I did a little weird look. Sorry,
but it's true. So it's where do you want to put your time and money? And if you're at that point of growth, I could probably save you a lot more money than if you did it yourself. And you can go spend time with your loved ones, or if you wanted to hire a staff of accountants, you're not gonna have to pay payroll taxes and all that good stuff because we're gonna do it. And so just finding where you want to spend your time. What's most important to you? Do you want to bake the bread? Or do you want to do debits and credits and capitalizations? And
yeah, we leave those to the professionals
exactly.
in my business. So yes, I 100% agree with you. And I know that, like I said, you have particular people that you're looking for. But what if someone were to call in and just say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about hiring a bookkeeper. How does that process look for you? Like, what's the process that you walk from A to Z? Like, what are some of the questions that you ask? What do you do? How do you handle that situation?
So we ask, the W questions, like the what, where, why, who, because I'm really trying to get a picture. Like, what is it that you want to do? And like I mentioned, we're not a good fit for everyone. So we're going to tell you, if you're saying it's just me, but I want to hire these other people, I'm going to tell you we're not a good fit. Like, you can do this on your own. So asking, what do you want to do? Like, what are your dreams? Because that's really what it is you're not going into this business to just be in a business, because this, like, having your own business isn't easy. Like, you have it, you're 24/7. Like, that 9 to 5 starts looking really great. So asking that what, the why, like, what is it that really inspires you? Because I can easily take your money, but if I'm working with a company that really believes in what they do and you can feel that, it's just like going to work for a company. I'd rather be working with people that I love to work with than just kind of clocking in. And so finding out why they want to do what they do. The where is just logistics. How are we going to work this out? What are you looking at, for any business? I actually love working from home because I don't have to buy a building.
That's a big piece. Overhead, yes.
Huge. And so just working and seeing, like, are we a good fit? Are your long-term plans going to be what we want to be aligned with? And really, are you going to be profitable? And when I say that, I mean, a lot of people kind of get into business thinking they're just going to make a lot of money. And so what I'm trying to look at is your plan really going to work? And
right.
So I used to teach high school, and I would always ask them what they wanted to do. And they would, usually for the ladies, it would be, I want to do nails. And for the boys, it's, I want to do tattoos. I'm like, that's great. Don't let anybody squash your dreams. But
right.
Everybody else wants to do nails. And now you're just getting into a price war. And so if that's how you're viewing it, in my opinion, and feel free to prove me wrong, you're not going to be successful. Now, if you want to lay out a plan and you want to talk about realities of starting a business, let's go have some lunch and let's talk about this. And I've had a couple of, I kind of got a rhythm when I was teaching high school. I'd roll my eyes whenever they tell me whatever plan they had. And one of them literally pulled out a business plan. She's like, this is my plan for my salon. And I read it. I'm like, oh, my goodness, go now.
Yes.
Go.
If they have a plan, that's it.
Yeah.
Don't just do it on a whim.
Yeah. And so looking at those that have thought it through, because I've seen a lot of businesses that, I always use restaurants because I kind of grew up in that industry.
Me too.
Horrible industry, like if you want to start a business.
It's very aggressive and time consuming.
Yeah.
So yes, I 100% agree.
But I always think of it as, well, my cousin told me I had the best burritos. Okay, you need more than that because your cousin's probably not going to pay you for those. And now that you have a building, you have to pay rent. And where are you getting your food? And all these little things that people don't think of. Insurance. No one ever thinks about insurance when they start a business. And so all these important things that people don't think of, I'd like to help you. But if you're just going to be on the dream, probably not a good fit.
Got it. I got it. And I know we spoke earlier about the negative connotation of you being able to see people's finances. And, people could potentially be in the negative and they know they need help. But why should they come to you for that help? And how do you kind of, guide them through understanding that it's not a stigma, it's a thing of business, and what do you do? Like, how do you have that conversation with that person who might feel pressure or very, shameful about coming because they're having some issues with their business?
I think I try to be very cognizant. I try not to problem solve. I'm a problem solver. So this is a very cognizant thing I have to do, but I really want to listen to what you have to say. Because most of the time when someone tells me something, they're not telling me the whole story. And so I have to listen to what's really being said.
Between the lines.
And, before we can talk numbers or anything, I really need to know what place you're in to be able to help you. And so just trying to build that relationship, which means sometimes maybe we meet 4 times and we don't talk about books at all. Maybe we just go have lunch. I'm more than happy to eat at any given time.
Especially with all the great food in Tucson.
Right. And I'm coming off a juice cleanse, so I haven't chewed anything in 3 days.
Oh, geez.
If anyone wants to go eat, like right now, I am
Let's
in.
go. All right. So, okay, that makes good sense. You're just a listener and you just make them feel at ease. There's no judgment coming from anything. And I just want my listeners to know that you are here to help. So tell me this. What is unique about your business and supporting strategies? Sorry. You said solutions earlier and it kind of hit in my head.
I think what makes us unique is that we do listen. So I really do think with bookkeeping, accounting, whatever you want to call it, it gets viewed as this, it's numbers, I'm just going to drop off some paperwork. And really it is that relational interaction that's going to, my wife works with me on our business. She's a co-owner. She's a social worker. And that was very intentional to bring her in because we really do want to emphasize that this is a relationship. And so I started even saying that we're kind of our financial social workers because we're looking for resources. We're looking that when you're having a bad day, and as silly as it works for me. If I have a bad day and someone out of nowhere says, I really appreciate what you're doing, like I'm back on the ball. Like that's all I needed. And so just kind of keeping an eye on clients and seeing that if they're trending downward, being able to say, look, this is not a forever thing. Like we can fix this. You can fix this. And really being part of the team and really wanting people we work with to succeed. And so looking at that story in the numbers, what's going on? Okay, we heard, the Federal Reserve is saying this thing. We're going to take a look at that and how you can prepare for everything. And we heard taxes are going up or down, or how are you going to prepare? Because for many, like their families are connected. So little Timmy might be going to college.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to go to ASU. Good choice not going to ASU. He might want to go to Harvard or Yale or the best business school in the world, Eller College of Management here at the University of Arizona.
Which is great. I agree.
So there's a lot of planning involved, and that's, again, relational, intimate. And we just want to relay that, to the question that there are going to be downtimes. There just are. Like, we want to build that relationship so we're not judging that I've been through it. Like, not every business that I've started has done well every time. That's why I don't have those anymore.
Exactly.
Or grew out of them or whatever. Like, we've all been through them. It's part of life. It's just, I like quoting irrelevant movies. And then so Batman, and everyone just loves Batman for like the crashes and everything. But at the beginning of one of them, says, Bruce, do you know why we fall down? He's like, no. He's like, so we can get back up. And I really believe that. Like we hit the dips, and the big decision, and even especially with COVID and everything that I've seen, those businesses that are succeeding are the ones that, everyone fell down, decided I'm going to get back up and somehow make this work. And so those are the businesses I love because they just have that passion and that fire in them. And
They're willing to bend to the change. They're willing to, I need to readjust what I'm doing right now because this is not going to fit this model. 100% agree. And that is something that I love about it. And speaking about what I love, what do you love best about what you do?
I like doing the background stuff.
Meaning?
So bookkeeping, we're not the ones out front. So I love that, so-and-so can do really well at their business and everyone applauds them and they're they get all the accolades. I like just being, and I think of it as like a theater. I'm backstage. I'm pulling the ropes and I'm making sure I'm making it happen. And I know I'm making it happen, or I know my part. I don't need the accolades or anything. I love that everybody else gets that. I'm just in the background doing my part so that they can do what they do to be successful.
Excellent. What would your ideal client look like? What would you be looking, if you were out there searching, I know you're not now, but if you were searching, what would you be searching for, or what would a client who come in who would be best suited to your needs?
I think what we'd be looking for is that client that has been doing, their own books, and maybe they're 3-5 years in and they're just looking to make that jump. And like I mentioned, like that requires hiring people, but they don't want to run an accounting department. They just want to make that jump and do what they do. And so that's what I consider ideal, because I can go in and fill that gap for them so that they can make that jump and move to the next level and not have to worry about the debits and credits. I'll do that. That's my world. That's what I love. I say, do what you do best, and just doing numbers and supporting you is what I do best. So I'll do that. You go do what you do best.
Excellent. All right. So I know we're coming up towards the end of the podcast here. Is there anything that we have not covered that you want to make sure our listeners know? Like, do you have any specials that are out there? Do you do any first-time clients for the things? What are some things that you want our listeners to know? We
don't do specials just because I value me. So we are not the cheapest, intentionally. But we do like to pride ourselves at doing the best work we can. I do encourage anyone that does want to talk about books or accounting, whether you're looking for anyone or not. Let's just go ahead and sit down and talk. I really do love hearing about the businesses that I don't know about. There's businesses in Tucson that we all know. I don't know a lot of them, though, because they don't have signage, whatever. They work from home. I love finding those businesses. So if you even want to sit down and just talk, maybe talk about how we can, work together, or just even, pick each other's brains, because there's things I don't know, so I'm willing to learn. And then there's things that maybe I can help out with. And I'm really big on just helping each other out. There's no reason we have to work against each other. I work with CPAs. So it's not like we're out there competing with each other. A lot of times we're helping each other out. They get too busy or I get too busy. We work with each other. So it really is just kind of helping each other out, finding what's best for everyone so that everyone can be successful.
Excellent. Okay. So again, thank you for coming on the show. I learned quite a bit today. I'm astonished. I didn't know the difference between, I guess, a CPA and accountant. I honestly thought they were the same thing, but not really. One is state-backed is what I learned, right? So
they're the rock stars of the industry.
They're the rock star, but maybe not. Maybe they just memorize stuff. I don't know. But it's one of those things. Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on, Derrick. We really appreciate getting to know about you and your business. And if you are interested in learning more about Derrick and supporting strategies, you can give him a call at 520-203-1014, or you can go on the Tucson Business Channel, a division of Mark Bishop Media. Click on Connecting Tucson with Jaime to see all of their information like social media, website links, and everything that you can know about them. But give them a call if you have any questions. They're willing to help. They're willing to at least just give some advice and just lend an ear to listen. As always, don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone and make that new connection. You never know where it's going to lead or the next connection that is going to help you connect with. Until next time, this is Jaime Overturf with Farmers Insurance. Keep on making unique connections, Tucson, and God bless.